Hi everyone, welcome to another episode of Living Life a Life You. I am your host, Dr. Veronica Garcia, and today I am joined with Coach Tay. Welcome, how are you?
Thank you, I'm doing well. Thank you for having me.
I'm so excited to have you here because I think that it goes under the radar sometimes, but no longer under the radar as much. You are the coach of our women's basketball team, who are doing extraordinary, I hear.
Yes.
So tell me a little bit about, let's start, how long have you been at Life University?
So technically 6 years, but I took, during the COVID year, I actually had my daughter, so I moved back to California for a couple of years. So now I am back. I'm fortunate that relationships are huge. And the AD made a call, and here I am.
Come on back.
Yeah. Back at it.
I love it. Well, congratulations on your daughter.
Thank you.
She's absolutely healthy and great.
Yes, she is growing.
Yeah.
4 going on 20.
Oh, my goodness. We must interview her. I'm just kidding.
Oh, she's ready.
And Coach Tay, tell me, were you also a coach of women's basketball and then come back as coach of women's basketball?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
So I was here coaching as an assistant coach for 3 years. So I had a great opportunity under Coach Anthony Maxwell.
Yeah.
So he was blessed to give me another opportunity.
Yeah.
So, great experience with him, just being here. So huge reason why I'm back, too, is what he was able to give back to me. So, yep.
That's so important. I love that a lot of the times when we have staff and faculty and just individuals that have worked at Life University and they might leave for whatever reasons, they find their way back. I think that speaks volumes of our institution and our philosophy and the way that it's a safe space. You're welcome back, which is a beautiful thing.
Yes, we love it.
Tell me, why basketball?
Man, I was just a little girl following after her big sister. And I loved what it was giving to her. And I was just that younger sister dribbling around with the basketball. And, it's contagious. If you ask me, it was just contagious. So, inspiring. So, it's a big reason why I'm in it.
Did you play also through school as well?
Yep, I spent 4 years playing, finished collegiately as well. But, yep, I finished up my career.
That's awesome.
Yep.
And tell me about that shift from being on the court to being on the sidelines to guide a team on the courts.
Man. It wasn't easy. I would say it wasn't easy. I took a different route than most probably take, or that I would probably encourage people to take, and I hopped into coaching as soon as I got done playing. So requires you to grow up a little faster, especially when you're coaching players that were former teammates of yours. So, but I was, it was huge for me because relationships are big.
Yeah.
So having those relationships and then being a point guard, which is a huge piece of the leadership, it helped with the transition. I would definitely say that.
Wow, that's awesome. And it's awesome. And as a former athlete, it's also very difficult as well to leave the sport and the transition into something.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I love that you have found a career within this passion, dribbling since a young girl and now still dribbling for awesome women and also inspiring your daughter, I'm sure.
Yeah. Yes. Yes.
So I'm sure it's a full circle, beautiful painting of your life. It's
absolutely
really nice. Tell me about that philosophy in the current team for the women's basketball.
Yeah, things that are big for me, and a lot of my players will tell you, the foundation of my coaching philosophy is built off of genuine relationships, and I would definitely say discipline, if anybody can ask. But when it comes to those relationships, like, I want to know who I'm coaching. Sometimes you get athletes in here for a year, sometimes 2, and sometimes 4. You're hoping, and you want to be able to have these relationships with them that are lasting. When it comes to the discipline piece, the piece that's big for me, and I just got done talking to my athletes about, how important it is to do the right thing when nobody's around, which is high on, on integrity, But no, I've been blessed this far, and to have great student athletes, But yeah.
That's awesome. It's really important to have, like that discipline, that integrity as an athlete, but also just as a human.
Yes.
As a human in general. It's great to have that encouragement also from a coach and a mentor and a friend as well, because you're so involved into their lives all the time. You see them a lot more than their parents most of the time.
Absolutely. We wear a lot of hats, you know, and you want to be able to be that big sister when needed, that auntie when needed. You know, some of these athletes, come from backgrounds where they don't have any. Some only have a dad or a mom, and being able to be a mixture of all of those things, with not just myself, just with my staff, having a male on staff has been huge for me. Being able for them to too have that uncle, that they may not have ever known, or that big brother, or, father figure sometimes, so it's been inspiring for me as well to be able to watch that transition.
That's awesome. I love that. So now that you mentioned a little bit of other pieces, tell me, how do we work with our athletic trainers and our nutritionists and to make sure that our athletes, that woman athlete, is supported and developed and seen and being able to be given all those resources for her to be successful on the court?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing, Life University, we have a lot of different resources. I've come from institutions where I didn't have a lot of this. A lot of people laugh at me when I got here, because I was like, man, I was like a kid in a candy store. But being able to have, athletic trainers that too genuinely care, and, something that's big for our athletic department, we thrive off of, committing ourselves to these athletes, even if it nights that we're tired, so being able to see our trainers, and support staff go through the extra, loopholes, to make sure that they're good. I always like to say, I've been talking about it, and I think I see it more that I have a daughter, how much it takes a village, and we are our own village, and I've seen a lot of that this year, even with, the support of my athletes. And, just as much as, we support them, they've been supporting us and fueling us as well. Yeah. So it's a pretty cool thing to see as well.
I love it. I love it. You mentioned, you just mentioned like, to be able to support them, to be for them, and to see them. And my mind went into those times and those spaces where life happens outside of Life University and outside basketball and outside training and whatnot. But understanding that their life as athletes is very demanding, and as student athletes, even more demanding. Tell me a little bit about what is the schedule when they're in season? What are they usually exposed to? From a training side, also classes and things like that you know of.
Yeah, I can speak from experience, and that's the blessing about having, having the opportunity to finish playing, because I have stories to tell, and I'm capable of telling them when they're tired, of getting off the road like we just did last night, and having to get up and go to study hall, and assuring like, you guys have to go to class, preparing them for the real world, was huge, and I am a stickler for, just discipline, a healthy discipline. We keep a schedule, we stick to the schedule as best as we can. We know life happens at times, but once you see structure, and things start to fall off, or you have a bit of adversity, I take pride in us finding ways to get back on track, and I try to assure that they understand that too. But between study halls, between strength and conditioning, there's days it's like, man, I'm tired. There's days we have to push through. I want them to know what it's like now, to know like, I got to feed my family. I got to feed myself. Importance of healthcare and mental health are something that's huge for me as well. I got my master's degree in sports psychology, which has helped me through this transition as well, and helping push them, through the mental performance side of things. But yeah, so we try to definitely, put on them, we try to keep the calendar for them. I like teaching them about having calendars and structure, because we're going to need it. They're going to need it after they leave here. You know, it's not just basketball and X's and O's for me. You know, it's genuinely caring about your life, you know, and teaching you discipline through the process. So
you're definitely setting them up for success, because I think that one of the biggest things that a lot of employers look at, and as me as an employer as well, I'm like, if I know that you were an athlete, I'm like, I know I want you. I know I want you because I know that you're disciplined. I know that you're dedicated. I know that you're a hard worker. I know that you're going to show up and you're going to get the work done. And that's such a huge piece that I think that in the past, it wasn't like that. It was more like, oh, they were an athlete. How were they in school? Now it's like, no, they were an athlete and they graduated and they're done. No, I want them. I see that value. So to have someone on their sidelines pushing them to maintain that, it's only going to be a smoother transition of more of course, leaving that student life and like finding that work life. That's already a lot, right? But to be able to do it in a structured manner makes it a lot easier.
Oh yeah, it helps with the transition. It's helped me, so I know. So yes.
Yeah. Tell me of what you're looking for. Anybody that's interested in playing for Life University, what are some of those highlights, things that you're looking at to bring into the team, bring into the community?
I need, you know, something that's big for me. I look for athletes with grit. You know, I look for athletes with something we all talk about nowadays. It's just a dog mentality. You know. And by that, it's just somebody that's just willing to go to bat for you. You know, somebody that's getting it done on and off the court. You know, and somebody that, you know, takes pride in building this process. You know, that's something that's been big. You know, the women's program is not crazy old, you know, so being able to have this opportunity to keep peaking, you know, I need those type of athletes around that trust the process. You know, I don't think anything worth having is, you know, we got to work for it. You know, and I need athletes that want to work for it. You know, a high character athlete is the biggest thing. I want to know who I'm managing, you know, who I'm mentoring for the next several years. You know, I want to know how's home life. That's a huge question I ask. That's the biggest question I probably ask first, you know, because I want to know what gaps we may need to fill, or if not, what gaps you guys can fill for us, you know. So between those things, you know, I need, you know, the discipline. I need athletes that want to sacrifice, you know, winners, something that's big for me, you know, like you mentioned, you know, wanting athletes, you know, even in the professional world, you know, I come from winning programs, so that's something that's big for me too, you know, and that transition, it helps carry over because it's contagious too. It's contagious. Winning is contagious, and that's on and off the court, you know, and people should want that in their circle. You know, I want athletes that know that they're going to make mistakes. You know, I push them, you know, make the mistakes so I can help fix them. You know, I tell my athletes that all the time, especially in game. You know, I was like, practice. I'm like, hey, you guys you got to be okay with messing up. You know, because the process is, you know, is growth, it's constant growth, you know, and they have to be okay with that too.
I love that. I think that's just so dedicated and driven and smart, because I always I have the opportunity of teaching at the university, and one of the biggest things that I tell my students is like, if you're the smartest person in the room, leave the room. Get out.
Absolutely.
Go learn something different.
Absolutely.
Right? And with that, I always tell them, the reason why I'm saying that is because I know I'm not the smartest. I might be teaching you this one subject, but I'm learning so much from each and every one of you every single day.
Right.
And it's such a beautiful thing to kind of remind them of that all the time, to see the growth, to say, hey, you made a mistake. Let's go back to square one then. Let's give a step back and fix it and do it and be better at it. Thank you so much. This has been such an amazing conversation. I'm so excited because they clearly have a beautiful support system on their sidelines, and as an auntie and as a big sister and as all these different roles. Thank you for coming back to Life University. I'm also going to need the plug-in for a top like that, because I've been looking at it and I'm like, I love it.
I got you.
But good luck. Good luck. Are you guys in season?
Yes. We just literally got off the road late last night. On a 4-game winning streak. We got one more non-conference game on Saturday, and then we roll into a conference tournament next week. So Yeah, so we're excited.
Best
We're
of
excited.
luck. Congratulations.
Thank
Be
you.
extraordinary and amazing and keep shining.
Thank you.
We'll see you. We'll definitely, if you are interested in attending any of the games, you can go to their website,
Yes,
correct? The athletics
yes.
website, Life University, to see the schedule and to see the calendar. So please, please, please go on, go support them. They are doing an extraordinary job and they're working hard for the university, but also for themselves and for their ultimate growth. Well, thank you, Coach, for being here.
Thank you for having me. Thank you.
And we'll see you guys on the next episode of Living Life, How Life You. Bye.
Bye.